Are you looking for new books to read? Do you like finding a new special author? Are you tired of the same old books from the same old authors? Well then, welcome to Discovered Wordsmiths, a podcast where you can hear from fantastic new authors. Join Stephen Schneider as he finds and talks to authors you may not know, but authors that have worked hard to write great new books. Hear about their book and why you should check it out. So sit back and listen to today's Discovered Wordsmith.
All right, so Happy New Year. It is now 2023. We made it through the holidays. I hate saying we made it. I love the holidays. I had a great holiday. But now I'm on to one of my favorite times of the year, Star Wars month. To help me get over the doldrums after a great holiday, I created for myself Star Wars month. So I will immerse myself in a lot of movies, in video games, in board games, in books, in comics, and music. I've been listening to the soundtrack. So everybody, welcome to 2023. And if you like, welcome to Star Wars month. But this week, this episode, it's a fun one. I talked to Joanna. She has some books that we discussed, but we also had a great idea. And hopefully we'll talk to her at the end of this year about that idea and see if it came to fruition. So check it out and see what you think. I have some books getting so close to coming out. I'm working on book 2 of Town Magician. And it's flowing really, really quickly. I'm getting lots of words in every day. I wrote a good Christmas story over the holidays that people seem to enjoy. And it's part of a series, the Oddish Quester series, which I've started releasing the young Oddish Questers. And I have 4-ish, 5-ish books that are kind of going. They're from stories I wrote for the kids in past years. So that's something I'm going to push a little bit more this year. So I hope to get 2 Town Magician books out and get the Oddish Questers going. But I still have my Martin and James stuff, the alternate history British super spies. So I don't know where I'm going to go. I'm just focusing on the marketing for book 1 of Town Magician, getting book 2 done, rewritten with some new things. And hopefully I'll have that out pretty soon. So that's where my year is starting
today
out
on
very
Discovered
well.
Wordsmiths, I want to welcome Joanna. Joanna, how are you doing today?
So here's Joanna.
I'm doing pretty good.
Hey.
We're getting some snow, so I may be out shoveling a little later.
Right. Hopefully not in the middle of the podcast. That'd be an interesting So we were talking a little bit before we got started. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself, where you live, and some of the things you like to do besides writing?
Okay. I live on Vancouver Island. So for your American audience, if you think of Seattle, and we've I'm thinking of snow. We have been to Disneyland, and I just remember now when it was around Christmas time. I am totally going off on a tangent here.
Go for it.
Okay.
Love it.
So I remember we were driving back home, going through Oregon, and there was this snowstorm. And we made it through. We have a little Honda Element. But anyways, back on track. So if you go north to Seattle, to Vancouver, there's a ferry you can hop on. And that takes you to Vancouver Island. And it's the biggest island on the West Coast. Okay. So that's where I'm coming from.
You keep saying Vancouver Island, and all I can picture right now is Christmas Island. It's like somebody needs to make the whole island Christmas Island. That's where everybody's destination for December. It sounds like a tourist thing to me.
Well, after the pandemic, everyone was coming to our island, and I thought, this island's going to sink. Like, all of you guys go home, right? There's other parts of Canada to visit. But anyways, I was born and raised on Vancouver Island. I'm called an island girl, okay? And I've worked in the prosecutor's office and actually the office of the police complaint commissioner, which deals with complaints. We have municipal police force. So we do have the RCMP, which everyone identifies with the Red Surge and all of that. But we
That's
also
you're
have,
right.
yeah, but we also have municipal police departments too. And so if anyone had a complaint with regards to the municipal police departments, that would come to the office of the police complaint commissioner. Okay. And I've just drawn upon my experience working in the prosecutor's office as a legal assistant and the police complaint commissioner's office, and writing my novels and my thriller novels. So that's what I like to do. And if I'm not writing, I like jogging. And I seriously, like this time of year, I am binging baking channels, baking shows. Yeah.
So you should write cozy mystery based on like chefs and baking, that type of thing. It sounds like.
I tell you, I live in a small town now, and there have been a number of storylines that have kind of popped into my head. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So why did you want to start writing? What made you want to get down to it and write?
Well, believe it or not, as a kid, I did despise reading. I found it very difficult. I was not the child that was kind of like in group A. I was in group B. And the thought of reading out loud, just, I stumbled a lot over my words. And we used to have these books. They're called Rupert. And I believe they're a UK book. And you had the choice because there were illustrations and just little one-line sentences underneath each picture, or there were the big 2 paragraphs at the bottom of the page. And my mom would like literally say I had to read 30 minutes before I went to school. So I would try to always read the little one-line sentences, and then she kind of caught on what I was doing because parents, they do that, right? And she was like, no, 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 the two paragraphs, right? So it was my sister who got me hooked on the Bobbsey Twins, which is it's another UK publication,
Yeah.
right?
We're
Yeah.
dating ourselves talking about
Oh,
these things because the 20-year-olds are going, what are you guys talking about? I'm sure.
well, and it was all action. It was all action. And the Hardy Boys. I read the Hardy Boys. It was all that type of action and adventure. And once I got hooked, literally, it was like that one story. Once I got hooked that you could read about action and adventure, then I wanted to read and then I wanted to write my own stories. So I was writing stories, I'd say from grade 7 to about grade 12. Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, I've always liked creating stories.
So you've kept writing throughout your life, or you kind of put it off, or I mean, have you been publishing all this time, or how's that? What's that journey been like?
I became an adult. Right?
That's a
So
horrible thing to say.
yeah. So I it was when I graduated from high school and I went to college to become a legal assistant. I swear that it was the economics 101 that killed every creative idea in my brain. So I was working, I met my husband, and we had a family, and I stopped writing. Okay. I stopped writing. I used to create art as well. I just at that time it didn't fit into the lifestyle, right? I had a young family, so I stopped. Gosh, I stopped for a little bit, but actually I did. Now that I think about it, I started writing again when I was about 25, 20, 28. And I wrote for about 10 years. And then I was just honestly getting tired. I remember being tired of the rejections I was getting. And I stopped and I focused on other activities I was interested in. And I got to a point where I was even telling my friends when they'd ask me, oh, Joanna, are you going to get back to your writing? And I'd be like, no, I'm not. I can't see myself doing any more writing, or creating any more art. And it's true. You never say never, and it was gosh, about 20 years later, 20 years later, when my mom passed, that I dug out the book I had written in 1999. And I thought, okay, if there's something that I think is salvageable in this manuscript, I will rewrite it and I will self-publish it. And it's been a great ride. It's been a great journey. And I'm just received back from my editor the edits on book 3. And this morning I had a critique session with my critique partner with regards to the first draft porridge of book 4. So it's good to be back. Yeah.
Nice. Great. Well, let's talk about your books a bit. The current book is Dealer's Child. So
Yes.
give us a little bit about what that book's about and the series overall. Don't give things away, but tell us a little bit about it.
So it involves 2 sisters. There's one sister, it's written in the first person point of view from Jade's point of view. And she is a lawyer, defense lawyer, sometimes prosecutor. Okay, because in Canada you can be both. You can be an ad hoc prosecutor. You need to be a criminal lawyer though, so you need to know criminal law. All right. So when she's not prosecuting, she is investigating criminal matters, usually murders, and in the first book, The Unravelling, it was she had defended her ex-husband on a murder charge, and then later she finds out that he's been murdered. Okay, so she's just also trying to clear her own name, okay, to prove, and uncover his murder. And the second book, Dealer's Child, that just the thought came to me of what if my heroine Jade has grown up with this idea of what her idea, she grew up with this kind of ideal background, family life. And what would happen if she was to find out that during the 60s, her mother was quite the rebel? And she finds out, uncovers some family secrets, some family lies, and that ties into the murder of her father, of her so-called father. Okay, so that was fun because I remember at the time every scene in the mother's point of view in the 60s. I wrote all the scenes in the 60s all at once because I wanted to make sure I stayed in that point of view with the mom. And it's listening to Jimi Hendrix. It's listening to some of those like Stones, some great songs from that era, right? So Jade has to uncover some secrets about her past, and it's a bit of it's an emotional journey, and she's trying to uncover her father's murder as well. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
She needs to move out of the small town, it sounds like. So, are there any books out there that you would say are similar to your books so that people listening can say, oh, I like that. I'm going to go check out Joanna's books.
Okay. Yeah. So when I started writing The Unravelling, like I said, it was during the late, I just about said the late 1900s. It was during.
It does seem kind of like the Wild West there.
It was during 1999. Okay. And at that time, John Grisham was coming out with his legal thrillers. And I just thought, and David Baldacci, right? Like they were coming out with legal thrillers. And I thought, hey, I work in a prosecutor's office. This is what I know. Okay. It may be Canadian law, but it's still law. People are still breaking the laws. I still have a lawyer, so that's where I see the connection. Okay. It's with David Baldacci, John Grisham, that sort of thing. And even my editor said to me when she sent back the edits, like in book 3, she was saying, I like seeing Jade in the courtroom. She goes, so that's one thing I'm going to have as kind of like my thumbprint with each book. There will be a few courtroom scenes, and the puzzle and the fun for me is weaving in, let's say, a clue she may pick up from a case she's working on, and seeing how it can connect to, let's say, whatever she's investigating. Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
so kind of like Perry Mason or Matlock.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
Okay. And these are self-published?
Yes. Yes, they
Okay.
are.
Do you have like a publishing house you go through or anything, or is it all just you?
It's me. I've just hired a book designer. I didn't think of this at the time, and I wish I had. Um, I was when I self-published the Unravelling, I was just thinking about, like I said, my mom had passed, and I thought, okay, let's publish this book. And a month after I published it, I thought, okay, I got an idea for book two. And then I started writing book two. And then it's like, okay, I'm in, like I'm on this ride, I'm doing this. And so then with book three that I'm working on now with the edits, it's called Spy Girls. And it's a series, right? But they're individual stories. You don't have to read book one to pick up book three or book two, right?
It's a
They're
series
all
connected by location and character more so than our overarching plot.
Yeah, yeah. So with book three coming out, I thought, okay, you got to brand these. They have to look like they're connected, but individual. So I have a book designer who's really good. And biggest lesson I learned is I kept telling her what I didn't want as a book cover. I said, I don't want the female running away, like, so we only see the back of her. I've seen a lot of covers like that. But what she did is she found images that were females that are facing the reader, and I loved them. So I was kind of contradictory because I told her what I didn't want, but so she flipped it, and I thought, yeah. So I have and she went to the lengths where the woman on the cover of book one, she managed to get another image of a woman for the cover of book two, and she photoshopped the image of the woman's nose on book one, so it is the woman's nose on book two. Like, who does that detail?
Wow, that's funny. That's good. I love that. Yeah, keep her.
Yeah.
So are these available print or just digitally?
Print, ebooks, they're available. So they're available on Amazon. They're available through Kobo. I also have the ebooks listed through Draft Digital, which is a great resource for authors. So, I'll get a Draft Digital report saying you've sold this book through Barnes and Noble,
Right?
or all these book outlets, which I never even knew existed. So I think there's some, I can't even remember the plot. Like, yeah, they're out there, right?
Yeah.
Google
Yeah,
Books, even. Yeah.
I use Draft Digital and like Hoopla and stuff. And I like
Yeah.
a year and a half after I submitted a book, it said, "Oh, you've been accepted to so and so." I'm like, I forgot all about that. And then
Yeah.
suddenly I'm like getting these emails like, "You sold this many books or rented, checked out books in Hoopla," and I'm like, "Really? That's pretty awesome." I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. Hoopla's one. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's through your library. So I always tell people, support your libraries, check them out.
Yeah.
If more people go to the library, listen to an episode and say, "Wow, Joanna's book sounds great. I'll go ask for it at my library." That's just helping everybody. Helps
Yeah.
us, helps them, helps the library. It's
Yeah.
a win-win for everyone. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yep. Hoopla, Bibliotech.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of those.
Scribed. I get quite a few unscribed,
Yes.
actually. It's
Yes.
weird. I never
Yes.
thought that would happen, but yeah.
You know all the names. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Joanna, what type of, you've got a couple books out, you got more coming. What's the feedback you've been getting on the ones that are out?
The best feedback I received was a reader Facebook messaged me. And, you know, so, I enter contests, and I'll get like Dealer's Child and the Unravelling were finalists in the Great Canadian Book Club Awards. And so I've been, another author who I interviewed has said I've always been the bridesmaid, but never the bride. So sometimes I feel like that. Okay. But the best response I received was a reader messaged me on Facebook, and she said, Joanna, I just I can't put this book down. And she goes, I just can't. And she goes, way to go. This was with respect to Dealer's Child. And I went, thank you, thank you, thank you. And then I messaged her again, can I use your comments as promotional material? Right. She goes, yeah, fine. Now leave me alone. I want to read, and I thought, oh.
That's awesome. That's good feedback. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you had a choice, if someone asked you, hey, we like your books, we want to make them into a movie or a TV show, which one would you pick?
Either. I would just be happy with either. And I know I just had this discussion with one of my sisters where a Canadian author, her book was sold for like a Prime, mini series. And diehard readers were commenting how I only watched the first 10 minutes and it's not like the book. Well, it's not going to be like the book. You're handing your rights over to a total different medium, TV or a movie, and they are going to take this book and adapt it to make, a product that will be appealing on the TV, on the screen, right? So it's two different mediums. Yeah.
Right. Yep. Okay. And you mentioned all these services where you can get your book. Kobo is one of them. So do you have a website that people can go to?
Yes. Oh, yes. So if you really want to support local, it is J for Joanna, C for Cat, V for Victor, Art Studio .net, N-E-T. And I have some of my podcasts listed there, and I have like a little shop where you can buy my books. Yeah. And in the price, I include the shipping, and that's where you can get the books directly from me. And I would include an art card because I do motorcycle illustrations. So I try to give more of a personal touch when someone buys directly through me.
Okay, back up one second. First of all, what's a motorcycle illustration? What's that mean? And does your main character ride a motorcycle or something? Oh, okay. You did not mention that. That sounds really cool. Go ahead. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Geez, I need more coffee. Less Christmas cookies and more coffee, right? But so like I said, as a teenager, I created art. So I don't know if you can see it behind me.
Okay, yeah.
It's one of my motorcycle illustrations. And what I use, they're called Copic markers.
Okay, yep.
And I will get a photo of a motorcycle on my phone. I will enlarge that photo, and I will draw that motorcycle on a 11.5 by 14.5 piece of paper. And I use the markers, which are very vibrant in color. There are approximately 300 and something markers. I have 160, right? And it is just so much fun. And when I was doing the rewrites for the Unravelling and I was thinking about my characters, I remember I looked up and I saw one of my illustrations and I thought, why don't they ride bikes? Because there's a whole group, just big group of women, all walks of life, who enjoy riding bikes. And I thought, yeah, that's what my characters, Jade and Sage, they ride their motorcycles when they go around the town. And I'm trying to take a little bit from James Bond. He may have a different car every movie, every book. Well, I think Jade is working on her fourth bike right now, right? It's a Honda, right?
Nice.
So, yeah.
So you got to have a murder at a poker rally or something sometime,
Oh,
right?
wouldn't
I
that
mean,
be fun?
yeah.
Ah, oh
There you
my.
go. I'd
Yeah,
do that one. I'd love to see that one.
yeah. Because I've illustrated Harleys, that's for sure.
Right? That would be awesome.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're on an island, so you just like go in circles. Right?
Oh,
Okay, so uh, a couple other questions. Find out some more info about you. What are some of your favorite books and authors?
oh gosh. I always liked John Grisham because I like the legal, working in the legal field. I liked the legal background. I like thrillers, so I'd say John Grisham, Dan Brown. Again, it's just take me on that adventure. And I remember being glued to reading the Da Vinci Code because it was to actually see real images of the statues, the buildings he wrote about was really cool. And I love it when an author writes a book where you wonder, is this real or is this fiction? And Dan Brown did that with Da Vinci Code. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, those two are my main favorite. Gosh, I can't think of any. Oh, oh God, the name came and it went. Yeah, yeah,
Well, typically authors have like a list longer than they can ever remember of books and authors that they love. So
yeah,
you got a couple good ones. So anyone that likes those
yeah,
probably shares interests with you. So should check
yeah.
out some of your stuff. Uh,
Ah,
they,
Tara Moss and Sandra Brown. Those are the other. Yes. Okay.
good. Now you can shovel without racking your brain. Do you have a favorite local bookstore you like to go to?
See, I used to live in Victoria, which is an actual city. So you can can you it's taken me a little while to adjust to the small town, but I've adjusted, so Victoria, you can take the Coho ferry from Seattle, and we've been to Port Townsend. Victoria has Monroe's bookstore, which was started by, she was a famous Canadian author. I don't know how much, let's say, the American audience knows of her. It was Alice Munro.
Okay.
Okay. It is a beautiful bookstore. It's in one of those like old, uh, like 1800s type building with the beautiful moldings and the curved doorways. Okay. That is a favorite bookstore. We also had in Victoria Bolin Books. And again, it's like the stained glass window, the stained glass lamps, and it is big. Like you go in there and you smell books. Okay. That's a good
Nice.
smell, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So luckily, Victoria is only about an hour and 15-minute drive from where I live now. So when I need my fix, for the city, I just head down.
Got it.
Yeah.
Good. All right. So before we move on and talk author stuff,
Yeah.
if you were just walking around town, somebody came up and said, "Hey, I heard you wrote some books. Why should I get your books and read them?" What would you tell them?
My books are a thrill ride. That's exactly what my books are. I write to thrill myself, okay, and to surprise myself. And that's like literally this morning with my critique. I just working on book 4. I had said to my critique partner, I never thought I would write this type of an action adventure novel, And so when I initially write, I write to thrill me, to scare me, to also make myself laugh. Like I want to laugh. I want to giggle when I read as well. And then I have to think about, once that first draft is done, then the polishing comes in, thinking about the reader. So the reader gets the same experience. I love action scenes, and those are hard to write. I give a lot of time to those action scenes, so they're not clunky. So the reader is just, whoa. Like when my editor says to me, geez, Joanna, I had to stop and start to reread from the beginning because you pulled me in, and I stopped editing. I was just like, okay, like she got into it, and I thought, yes, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, Joanna, I appreciate you sharing the book and talking to us about it today.
Thank you.
Hi, if you enjoyed this episode of Discovered Wordsmiths, please support the author. Go to their website, go to Amazon, look them up, get the book. And if you click on the link that I have in the show notes, you'll also help support the podcast so I can keep the hosting and all the software I use and keep it running to help more authors. When I am recording this, we've got over 100 episodes, lots of authors. Go to the website, discoveredwordsmiths.com. Check it out. There's a lot of great authors, probably in some genre that you love. See what they have. Check out their books. That's what the point of the podcast is for. So people can discover new authors, find some new books they love, support the authors so they can continue writing. So please support them. And if you do like the podcast, if you've been thinking of podcasting or you're a writer, I've got some links also at the website. Click on those if you're interested in any of the software or services that I talk about. Everything that I have there is something I use, so I've got an affiliate link. Again, it's a little bit, if everyone clicked on those, if they were going to get it anyway, it helps keep the podcast going. So let's all help each other out and discover more authors to read.
Thank you for listening to Discovered Wordsmiths. Come back next week and listen to another author discuss the road they've traveled, and maybe, sometime in the near future, it might be you.